like very fast for me. But then it's like I hope I get some feedbacks from professor in order to get broader knowledge and deeper knowledge for my research. And I would like to ask for permission to record a video for this session because this will be helpful for me to get some feedback from my professor in Indonesia. Okay, so today's my presentation's outline consists of 4 different things, which is the first one is introductions. In introductions, I would like to explain about the research backgrounds, research problem, research scope, and research objective. And then we will go to the literature review. We here divide it into 3 streams of the literature review, which is the first one is requirement change in software industry. The second one is software pricing, and the third one is software contract policy. And then we're going, the next stations will be the models. So here we model the mathematics of contract decisions. And then the last one is would like to explain or to tell you about the initial result that we've got and what's our future plannings on this research. So for the research backgrounds, in the software industry, especially for the software company, usually they require a contract to manage and to manage a software project, and in order to get a good in order to offer the software project to the clients. So there are 2 mainly software contracts in that usually software developer offer to the client, which is the first one is a fixed price contract, and the second one is a time and materials contract, or I can sort it to be FP and TNM. So based on the Jorgensen et al. 2017, fixed price contract is the conditions when the developer offer to the clients a fixed price of contracts and delivered a product of the software. Meanwhile, time and materials is the conditions when software developer offer to a client a price of contract based on the effort or competency that the developer already spent. So the difference is like the fixed price contract, we know the price in advance, but in time and materials, like we know the price based on the competency or the effort that developer already spent. So the research backgrounds that trigger us to learn more about this case is developers in the software industry usually compete each other to get clients. Usually, the clients open for a project. Maybe they want to make or build the systems, and then they're gonna offer to the developers, software developers, and then they will compete each other to offering contracts to the clients, and the clients will choose which one of the contract the most suitable to them. But then it's like, unfortunately, those 2 kinds of contracts still enable to accommodate the requirement change. Here I will tell you a bit about what is requirement change. Requirement change is a kind of like requirements that the clients request to the software developer to add or to change, to modify or to delete the requirements that the clients want. I can make it simple, like maybe in like when we build a house, the requirement will be like maybe we need a like rock or we need a sand to build it, right? But then in the software industry, the requirement will usually a list of the features that the clients want. usually like in the middle of project development of software, sometimes the clients want to add more features, or sometimes they want to change more features, another features in their project. So it's hard to accommodate for only both of these contract toward the requirement change. So after we review some sort of papers, we capture there are two main problems in software contract related to the requirement change, which is the incomplete initial requirements, and then the second one is the additional requirements. Incomplete initial requirements means like when we offer a contract to the client, we software developer usually already have a list of the requirements that we offer to the clients. But then when the initial requirement is incomplete, it's usually lead to another requirement change in the future after the project running or completed. And then the additional requirement change, it means that the requirements usually appear during the project. Whenever like in the first times there is no requirements additional or like modification and everything, but then sometimes during the project the client thinks of, I want to add more features to my software, so I want to propose or require another requirement change. This made the contract absolutely must be changed, because like in the first contract we deal with the first price, but then with another additional requirements, it means that the developer is supposed to do a lot of another effort and another cost to pay the effort for the programmers. So our research objective consists of a threefold, which is the first one is discussion on the impacts of competitions. Here, like we would like to build two different settings of model, which is the first one is a monopoly, and the second one is the duopoly models, which is going to be the first times in the research that related to the contract, software contract policy, to accommodate directly to different settings, because as far as I know, there is no research yet to study about the competitiveness of the software developers toward this contract. And then the second one is investigation of the equilibrium pricing decision and contract choices. So here we would like to intend to the price equilibriums in order to propose or intended to the contract choices. And the third one is the formulations of the determinants of contract choice. So here, from the two type of contract, we would like to design different contracts from based on that previous contract, FP and TNM, and we would like to design three different contracts that I will tell you later in the slides. And then our research scope is actually we want to build up this model based on the two perspectives, from the theoreticals and the practicals. And then from the theoreticals, we follow up the previous research of the study from Cheng and Pang 2010, Day et al. 2010, and Nan et al. These are that like because I was working in the software industry, and then I already collected 15 software contracts from the database during the period of December 2016 until August 2019 from one of software developer in Indonesia called Media. And then there's some of the clients that we've booked for the contract. And another research scope is like currently we only think of this model from the developer perspective. So that's like we don't think of like the trade-off between the software developer and clients. But then in the future we will try to explore more into that. And then this model is based on the project level in software solutions. That's why I told before. So we are now modeling about the in the project levels in the software solution. And literature review. So we've grabbed like 11 previous study that related to the three streams of the literature, and then and then I got the check, green check here, that the research is what we follow up to build up our model. So we have 11 that, but the 3-1 is the most related one. And here are some sort of literature review. The first stream is the requirement change in the software industry. So in any software development activity, requirement change are inevitable. This means that there is like almost impossible for client not to propose or not to request the requirement change during the project. This statement based on the early and live. And then requirement change can affect overall cost, because I think it's really important to know to understand how to design a contract based on the requirement change. Because when we design that contract that are not accommodating the requirement change, it means that we will get not an optimal profit.
You need to control your time.
Oh yeah, all right.
Look at the time.
And then the topics related to first streams have been in the mind in the sums of a project. And then another one is the pricing in the software industry. This already correct in the previous slide. And then another one is the software contract policy, which is here is a fixed price and the T&M materials contract that I've already explained a bit previously. And then here our study. So our study want to accommodate all of the streams that we'll explain before. And that's including requirement change presents, external competition, which is here we use a hoteling model for the competitive models, and then we use we accommodate software pricing, software contracts, and for the decision variable we use price. So we set up our models into two different settings, which is monopoly and duopoly settings. And this one is for the monopoly settings. There is one developer competing. Not competing with another developer. So there is only one developer, developer A. Let me take example. Will offer software contracts to the client. Meanwhile, for the duopoly setting, there are two developers, which is developer A and developer B, will competing to offer the contract designs to the client. So here I would like to explain about the extensions of two previous contracts, which is fixed price and T&M. So for the fixed price contract, we expanded into two contract design, which is SN and SW. And then for the T&M contract, we expanded into MP or manual price, which is SN means like we offer a single price without adjustment cost, and the SW contract is we will offer a price with a adjustment cost, and the MP is like manual price that the clients can choose. So in the SN, there are one stage only, but in the SW and MP, there are two stages. So here you can see the two-stage model, which is the fixed price. Here consists of only stage 1, but then the SW consists of two stages of contract, stage 1 and the stage 2. And then T&M also consists of two stages, which is the stage 1 and stage 2. In the SW contract, like we accommodate portions in the stage 1 because the software development will continue to the next stage in the stage 2. Meanwhile, in the SN, we don't. There is no stage 2, which means that the software contract will stop there in the first stage. But then it's like there is options for the clients to give up and then to change to the second contract of SW. Meanwhile, in the T&M contract, we will use backward inductions, which is we will accommodate the price in the stage 2 first, and then we will back to stage 1 to get the price 1. So here's the timing of the events. For the SN contracts, here you can, we have XN, SW, and MP. The circles symbols mean that the contract signed and project launch and effort determined. And then the plus symbols means that the supports activated for requirement change. That is why here I put it the plus symbols in the stage 2. It means that in the stage 2, the developer will accommodate for the requirement change. And then the cross symbols mean that the project is end and the quality is released and the product is delivered to clients. So here is the list of notations. I keep a mark here, the star here or the asterisk symbols here means this is our decision variable, which is price, and then the blue line is the major variables that are mainly used in our model. So we address some of assumptions. The first assumption is like we assume both of the clients and developer are risk neutral, and we assume that the project is always delivered on time to the client. So there will no variables to decrease the utility. And then we assume that the cost parameters are already discounting for any necessary discount, and we assume any internal change made by the developer and not triggered by the clients will not accommodate in the model. So we model only a requirement change that proposed by the client. And its client demands at most 1 unit of software contract design. So here's like how we formulate our models. Firstly, we formulate the utility functions, which is we follow up the model from Chang's and Tan and Day. And then for the demand functions, we follow Chang and Tan and none at all. And after that, we get the developer's problems, and then we solve the price equilibrium. So here's like the utility functions of our monopoly models. Here, like utility function for SN contracts, you can see that S here is the willingness to pay for clients, and then alpha is the portions of price, because this is in the stage 1. So we only give a portions of a price in the stage 1, and BA here is the price. And then if you can see, the 1 plus delta here means additional of primary valuations due to the requirement change in the stage 2. So we want to accommodate that the software if the clients deal with the whole of the contract from the stage 1 and stage 2, which means that the primary valuation of the software will increase. And then it's a bit same with the utility for MP contract, but here like we will execute it based on the induction, backward inductions. And this is the demand functions of our monopoly models. Here, like the clients is like the demands for the software contract is not in our monopoly can be expressed by 1 minus theta. This is a follow up the previous models, and this is our demand functions for the SN, SW, and for MP. For the SN contracts, we have 1 minus alpha. There's a percent here. Always we put the percent in our first stage because it's not the whole price. And then the second, the SW contract here, we have 1 minus BA and ETO. And then this one is 1 plus delta. Here is the primary valuation. And this is the demand demand for MD contracts. And then after that we formulate the developers problems. Here like consists of price in the stage 1, alpha BA minus C1. C1 here is a direct cost that the the developer will charge to the clients, and then DA here is the demands for the SN contract, and developer's problem for SW contract here. We accommodate like the first stage and the second stage. So here, like the C1 here is for the direct cost, and then the C2 here is for the supporting cost related to the requirement change. And the third one for the MP contracts, here we make it as a backward induction, as a dynamic model. We solve the price 2 first, and then we get the price A. We want, because like in the stage 2, we want to accommodate first like the possibility of clients who want to add the requirement change. We intend to, if the clients want to add more requirement change first in the stage 2, and then we combine the price with the price in the stage 1. So here's the price equilibrium we got for our monopoly models. And this is the global scenario. We consider 3 scenarios, which is as NW, WW, and MW, which is for the NW, developer A offers SN contract and developer B offers SW contract. Meanwhile, in the scenario WW, both of the developer will offer the same contract, and the MW for developer A will offer the MD contract, and the developer B will offer the SW contract. So here's actually almost is the same with the monopoly one, but then it's like we got the indifferent points between the contract NV, which that proposed by the developer A and the developer B, and just the same with the previous again monopoly model. And here for the demand function, because there are 2 developers competing here, and we assume that the client is in the X, the location of client is in the X, so developer A is situated at the left end of the market, and developer B in the right end of the market, and this means that the developer A will obtain the X, which will look at it in X, and dev clients wants to get the developer will obtain like 1 minus X. And if the contract quantity does not perfectly match, they need match with their needs. It will incur a misfit cost T. Here, misfit cost here is the transportation cost.
You need to speed up.
All right, Professor. And then this is the demand functions of our contract. And then we got the developer problem is the same with the monopoly one. And after that, we get our price equilibriums. And here what our initial results. So we've got some of previous results, and then we will accommodate for the explorations of the model building and analysis, and it will be expected to be end on April 2020. Thank you very much for attention.
Okay. Will anyone?
My question is, how do you compare your theoretical result with the practical result?
Yes, based on the theoretical results, the price, they take they take the price as their decision variables, and then actually in the practicals we do the same, and then it's correlated with the effort that they're gonna spend, and then the times to complete the effort, and as well as it's usually correlated to the quality of the software, kind of that.
Are you satisfied with this response?
So
Yes.
So do you compare your result with something that they already have in practice?
just like the variable that we will, because we follow up the previous theoretical study, right? And then we compare it with the practical one. Is it like the variables is used to in order to build up the model? They use like some sort of variables like n parameters, and then we compare it. Is it that we concerned in the practicals or not? And then we from the 15 database, and then we see that the software developer what is that? I'm just like the software developers accommodates all of the variables. Yeah.
I think in this study he will not compare with the
Not comparing. Yeah.
report results.
It's
It's just inspired
it's just-
from
yes.
theoretical case.
Yes.
Anyone? Okay, good.
So I'm just wondering about one of the assumptions that you mentioned that the decision maker it has to have risk neutral. So can you elaborate more about why it has
Yeah. I intend here risk neutral is because like both developer and the clients must understand for the clauses of the contracts. So it means that we think of like when we offer these contracts, both of the clients and developer understand the risk that they will have. So that's why like we assume that we model this contract based on those kind of understanding both clients and developers. Yeah.
So if that's not risk neutral, then that's we change the invariant equation for this model. Is that true?
Actually, like we only intend like for the stage one, which is here the stage one, because like the stage one is we don't accommodate the requirement change, right? So we think of like when developer not accommodating the requirement change, the software features will be lack of features. I mean, it's like the quality will not as good as like the whole stage of the because there are two stages, right? So we intend of like when the clients only choose for the SM contract, which is only accommodate the SM1. So it means that they have they already know the risk, which is they will end up is the conditions of the sunk cost. Like they have no options to just give up and then continue to the stage 2, kind of that. So
In the page 16, you mentioned there are 2 stages in the modeling, the first stage and then the second stage.
yes.
And I just want to make sure that the stage only compare the difference between stage 1 and stage 2 is the price change, right? The cause of the price change is the requirement change.
Yes.
And where in the mathematical modeling that this represent?
Yes, this is kind of this. This actually the SM contracts for the only accommodate only for the stage 1. SW and MP accommodate like 2 stages. We can see here like there's a person's alpha here of a price, which is there's only a person for the price in the stage 1. And then this in the SW contract we have two prices. This is the price in the stage 1 and the price in the stage 2.
So the price in the stage 2 has to be higher than, or it doesn't have to be higher than the previous stage?
It's actually like we don't need to be no need it to be higher or like to be lower, because like it's not influenced like the price in the stage 1, because the stage 1 is like only is actually accommodate the direct cost, which include in direct cost is the main wage or main cost, and yes, only main wage, which is in the second stage or the stage 2, there is a support cost, which is in the support cost include adjustment cost to do the requirement change. sorry, I didn't put it here for the details of inside this one actually. Sorry, for this actually in the C1 here. C1 here consists of a C cap here. This is the C cap. The C mole. I have the C mole with the E4. That's the actually to accommodate the cost in the initial stage. And then this one there is a C2 small to accommodate the required change. Yes, there is a delta NC.
In duopoly model, you have 3 kind of scenario, right?
Yes.
Why do you choose those 3 scenario? Because I think there will be more than that.
Yes, actually this scenario is just what we now currently explore. We would like to explore another scenario in the future, but then here like is actually already represents the asymmetric and symmetric condition, which is in the scenario WW. Here like both of the developer offer the same contracts. Meanwhile, in the different scenario, they offer different contracts. Yes, but then in the future, of course, we would like to try another possibilities of this scenario. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Could you please share me your opinion about the drawback in your model to apply with the pricing and contact in software industry, in software product?
Mm-hmm.
Could you please example the drawback of your model?
Oh, okay. You means like
The disadvantage or the drawback in your model?
oh, you means like for this scenario NW?
Yes.
So actually, like in the real practice, like developer not always have to complete in the stage 1 first and then continue to the stage 2. But then it's like that's why we want to solve the price 2 first, because like we want to accommodate when the client want to propose the requirement change as much as they want, and then after that we just total the profit 1 and the profit 2, and then we got the price 1. Yes, but then it's like in the practicals one, sometimes like even the project isn't complete yet, the clients can usually request the requirement change. So it means that we have to accommodate the price 2 first to deal with the price 2 first, and then go back to the price 1, kind of that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
In the page 21, so for the utility for SM contract, why the customer only consider the price portion of stage 1? I think if you are the customer, you should consider the whole price. So in the stage 1 and stage 2.
Yes.
Not only alpha portion.
Yes. That's why like we call that a condition as a sunk cost, and we assume that the customer understands about the risk neutral, because this is actually like sometimes like the customer want to make, sometimes it's not necessary about the not completeness of the features, but then sometimes like the customer only want to build a basic small software, and then they don't require a lot of requirement change, and then they just, I'm okay with all the national requirement, please do it for me with only these things. But that's because they expect a cheap price, right? But then after that, another condition is when the customer want have a development continuous improvement of the software. Sometimes they think, okay, in this period of this year, I will only deal with the contract with the stage 1 first. Please do it for me, the initial requirements of this is the list of requirements they have to do. But then in the next year, sometimes they propose to improve their software, kind of that. So that's why we assume that this SM contract can be understood by the client. Yeah.
So if in the future they
Yes.
wanted some improvement,
Yes.
their utility will change to the second one? Or?
the utility will be changed to the second one. Yes, because there's a maybe just to be our my concerns in the next, because like we don't think of like when the client start with the step one, they could be possible into two things, right? Directly to the to continue to the second stage, or just start. When that's like just continue, they can directly do the SN contract. But then since the start, we still think of that. Yeah, we still think of that.
Okay. So we Professor Gao to give us a comment.
Yeah, very good proposal. I have some questions and comments.
Yes.
First, your title is in the presence of requirement change.
Yes,
right?
bro.
But in your first scenario, you said that the price is fixed
Yes.
without allowing for requirement change.
Yes, bro.
So this scenario contradicts to your title, because in your title you are discussing in the presence
Yes.
of requirement change. So I would suggest that for this scenario, you can just put in the back as a comparison to your two scenarios. You have two scenarios
Yes, Professor.
allowing for requirement change.
Yes.
So the one fixed pricing without allowing for requirement change should be a comparison. So this is one suggestion. Then I don't quite. One student also asked the same question. I don't quite understand your results. So you will be doing some theoretical discussion, or are you going to use a real case to?
Yes, Professor. This currently our current study actually will explore more into another potentials of decision variables, which now is the price, and then we would like to transfer the efforts and the requirement change itself, and then after that we would like to do a kind of like a simulations based on the practical things. We just in order to make sure or confirm our models. But then currently we don't accommodate that here. But then we here in our study just to know like the price which of the price equilibriums that the contract.
Yeah, I know there are several things you want to
Yes.
do, but I just want to make clear that
Yes.
are you going to use a real case
Yes,
to
Professor.
illustrate your ideas?
Yes.
In this case, because you mentioned you have a company
Yes.
with 15 contracts,
Yes.
but the condition may not be monopoly and
Yes.
may not be duopoly.
Yes.
Because in Indonesia, I don't think there's only one developer. There must be a lot of
Yes.
developers. So if you want to use a case to illustrate your idea, but that case is not realistic because the market is not monopoly. The market is not a duopoly. Only if in your city
Yes.
there's only one developer, then
Yes.
maybe your
Yes.
idea can be applied. Or in your city there's only two developers, then you can use duopoly to illustrate
Yes.
your model. So you should think about
Yes.
actually using a real case.
Yes.
There's some dangers because the assumption will be different
Yeah.
from the real case.
Yes.
So this is the second comment.
Yes, Professor.
Then you said that in your abstract you said two-stage game.
Yes.
I don't quite follow your two-stage game. Who will be playing with whom? In game, we have two persons playing with each other. You said you have a two-stage game.
Yeah.
So you're saying stage one is one player, stage two is another player? Is this what you're saying?
Actually, no, kind of. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you should be careful about
Yes.
using the terms. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So actually it's not
Yes. It's
not
actually the common term used usually is period, Professor, not stage. And then, yeah, I will consider to do that.
Mhm. Another is you have several, not in your presentation, but in your proposal, your written proposal, you have several propositions.
Yes.
You prove several propositions.
Yes.
But actually, those propositions just to find the optimal price
Yes.
of your model. Usually, for proposition,
Yes.
we write propositions because we find some very good properties. So we use a proposition to state this property. In your case, you actually just solve to find the optimal solution. This is not a big
Yes.
contribution.
Yes,
It's
no.
not, I don't consider it,
Yes.
they should be a proposition.
Yes, we think of that,
So
Professor. Yes.
Right, you just get an optimal solution
Yes.
by using derivatives, setting to zero, then you get the optimal solution. So I would suggest that don't use proposition
Okay.
because that will be exaggerating.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Then, actually, your English quite good to consider compared with some other students, but there's still some
Yes, Prof.
grammar errors and typos and so forth. So you need to check your writings. Several others in citing papers.
Yes.
In citing papers. Well, you don't have. Well, because this is your
I agree
proposal.
here,
Your written
Professor.
proposal is
Yes.
when we cite a paper, when we have parentheses,
Yes.
which means the parentheses can be skipped without reading it.
Oh.
So, let me read one sentence slowly, so you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, Prof.
Like you said, as discussed in
Yes.
some papers, you said as discussed in, you have a parentheses, then Fink, Liechtenstein, and Weiss, then 2013, then you have several others. Remember,
Yes.
the parentheses, the contents of the parentheses can be skipped when we read. So in your case, you should write as discussed in Fink,
Oh.
then parentheses, the E,
Oh.
then the E. Otherwise, the contents of the parentheses inside the parentheses can be skipped when you read.
Oh. Yes.
Anyway, well, if you don't understand, just
Yes, Prof.
come to see me. Another thing I want to bring to your notice that you said that RC is a requirement change. That's fine. But in your abstract,
Yes.
you have RC. You use the requirement change, then parentheses RC. So we know that RC is the abbreviation for requirement change. But coming to the introduction, you have RC. Introduction abstract is
Yes.
independent from your text.
Oh.
So when we read the introduction,
Yes.
I just see RC. I don't know what is RC.
Yes.
So in your introduction, you should write down the full name first.
Requirement change.
Yeah. Because it is the first appearance in the text.
Yes.
Just want to find, because I just marked on the proposal. So the duration of stage 1 will be different case by case.
Yes.
So it's not a fixed length.
Yes.
So for one case, stage 1 may be depending on the contract.
Yes.
So when we start developing something, at the stage we find that we need to make some change. Then it starts, the second stage starts. Okay. And in your first scenario, fix the price without allowing for requirement change, the length of the stage is to be determined, or is it the fixed?
Is the fix?
Is it fixed?
Yes.
So you must finish the contract at the end of this.
Yes.
One assumption I don't quite understand. Your assumption, the last assumption on this, on the written proposal, page 15, you said the client's location X is always in the middle between 0 and 1. What does that mean?
Yeah, it's just like, actually like, I just want to address like, there's only one client between two developers. So yeah, that's the developers, these two developers will compete to get one client. And yeah, that's why we assume that the client will always win.
Okay.
Yes.
One student also asked the same question regarding the scenarios. Actually, there could be several scenarios.
Yes.
In your duopoly, there's another, because I don't know whether it happens in Indonesia or not. In Taiwan,
Yes.
it's possible that when you're bidding, when you have a project,
Yes.
you want to find some developer to develop the software for you.
Yes.
So you have this project,
Yes.
and many developers will come to bid.
Yes.
Who give you the best price, you will get the bid. Is it possible that they collaborate with each other in duopoly? There are two developers. Theoretically, they're competing with each other.
Yes.
But in reality, they may collaborate. I give you some money.
Yes.
So in this case, you have a collaborative game. In this case, you have pi A plus pi B.
Yes.
You don't, I don't know what
Yeah.
the model will be, but
Yes. But then it's because like we our concern actually this because like this the case that triggered me to study this professor, because like when I was doing previously work in the software industry, and then it's actually like a small software companies. That's the client usually only we have only few of the software company in one area, and then it's like they have no kind of like cooperating cases
Okay,
like that. Yeah.
yeah.
So we will think of that if we want a broader of the contracts.
Yeah, actually, theoretically,
Yes.
they should work like competitors
Yes.
instead of collaborators.
Yes.
In your reference, the way of citation or this not important. This not important. One last question in your proposal, written proposal. When you try to find the optimal solution,
Yes.
you take partial derivative. That's fine, but the way you write is not correct. Because when you take partial derivative,
Yes.
you still keep the same thing. You see, we have an objective function.
Yes. Oh.
When you take partial
Yes.
derivative,
Yeah.
you get the same.
Yeah. Sorry.
So that's not.
That's why I think.
Okay, those are my questions and comments.
Okay, thank you, Professor Gao, for this. The time is very
Very,
good.
yeah.
So we will
Thank you very
modify
much.
our manuscript. Okay. So I think time is up. So this is the end of the proposal. Okay. Thank you.
Common change should be a comparison. So this is one suggestion. Then I don't quite. One student also asked the same question. I don't quite understand your results. So you will be doing some theoretical discussion, or are you going to use a real case to?
Yes. Yes, Professor. This currently our current study actually will explore more into another potentials of decision variables, which now is the price, and then maybe we would like to trace for the efforts and the requirement change itself, and then after that we would like to do a kind of like a simulations based on the practical things. We just in order to make sure or
climate change should be a comparison. So this is one suggestion. Then I don't quite. One student also asked the same question. I don't quite understand your results. So you will be doing some theoretical discussion, or are you going to use a real case to?
Yes, Professor. This currently our current study actually will explore more into another potentials of decision variables, which now is the price, and then maybe we would like to trace for the efforts and the requirement change itself, and then after that we would like to do a kind of like a simulations based on the practical things. We just in order to make sure or